So first let's do a supplication. Okay, join with me. Om Nase Nam Dara Jenon Rupe, Raji Juju Jena Jobayi, Sangi Judangi Nupe. Kuna Jose Dacha Tashi Shu, Demi JepoSident Rogo, Chempe Jembekarap. Kuna Gumba Jajeta Baje, Lumbotra Basira Pedani, Simjedam Cher. Ism Zeba Sirap Double Day, Sensam Debatership. The Barshipa Yala Chazalo, Jambejano, Padenda Jeze, Cherez Mongomba. Saying you put about number say, Namgenium Pajogondo song, who paid the ship. No Boda were retaining my Chazalanum to ship. Chanju Simba Gala Chazalo, Ringin the Jataji Sirginia, the Jopozayon. Yenda Dunda Punzo Pepe, Minu Gaze, Wondercolote, the Genda Jajagi. Should you watch Jingajima, Gizongo, Timpepe, Trashi, Lamo Yala Chaz. Sombajimbo de Jungsemebo, Migdode Danyabo Yokosung, Pajabodano. Num this is a Hazagolo down, Tijoladan. We want a digidang as in the Sasum Network electricity, Jide Kawagala Chazalo, Daja think the Chawas. Getanya, Daja think the Chawasumbala, Getanya Warsawa Kunj. The Debepe, some day Asian Ruk Tashi de Leposum, so parashow. Jumnen de Paragumbochis in Jabayana Cha Salo, Kangilu reading it in Danumdar. Singing to Chiziniki to Galapamse, Godasepesara Mare Mundum do it. Tosokuna Puchikta, Yana to Jing the song to the Chetonio. Legature to the Jam, Mare Musi, the Gorinu, Chingi Jose Ratinum, the Nessa. In Dennis, Yasetebeku, Chudajudaj. Dalamusi Jampariana, the Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi, Marapazanadi. Marapazanadi, 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 Marapazanadi. Kurgumda de Jajichingi ba Ubedena, Sherab Retinum, Lebonzimage. Gumbo Jambe Yangla Chasel de Concetabra de Bom Josette. Gumbo Jamia Dingi Keme Porianton were show. Just a little bit high altitude feels some days like that. Today, I thought maybe we can do first Tonglen practice, and then after that, we can do sitting practice and meditation. I thought it's good to start with the Tonglen practice because we first thing in the morning is to try to shape your mind. And what we need to shape our mind, it's to bring our inherent compassion, inherent basic goodness. That's where we need to shape our mind to inherent basic goodness. Because we don't have to worry about affliction, they will all come. We're so used to that. So therefore, if we can first bring about a basic goodness, and then that creates it lays the foundation, the ground, that whatever you do today, it will come, it will be connected to a great deal, and you'll be influenced by a great deal with the nature of basic goodness. And that's what we need. because our mind is always running after our habits, which is predominantly influenced by ignorance, which is the notion of ego, the notion of self, constantly like infused in everything we think, whatever we do, something always, if you really introspect in your own mind, is infused with some level of affliction, one way or other, one way or other. And then when that happens, when our thoughts and emotions are infused with affliction, then you can imagine what would happen, a situation which is not conducive for your happiness and well-being. We all seek for happiness and liberation, but that happiness and liberation can only come with a positive mindset. It cannot come with a negative mindset. It cannot come with a sense of ego or sense of self-cherishing, which we basically do all the time. When you really introspect deeply into your mind, we always bring ourselves as the first. There's nothing wrong in bringing ourselves as the first, but ironically, or in the strange way, that bringing oneself as the first, hiding behind you is your ego. That's what is happening. And you're not able to see that clearly unless you really sit and introspect and really go through some deep level of meditation, awakening, recognizing that. Because it's like spread out like a virus in everything you do, everything you think. That's that ego, that grasping. Ego basically means grasping. So there's no something like something not come from the sky saying, here comes the ego. Or something is not going to tell each and every moment in your thoughts and emotion, here is the ego. If that is so, it'll be so easy to catch. It's come like behind a mask. You don't really recognize it, but it's there. And we can only recognize it when you go through the reflection on relative bodhicitta and absolute bodhicitta. When you sit and meditate, that is where you deeply see your mind. Why it's important to do meditation. Why it is important to do the reflection on conventional bodhicitta, conventional compassion, and absolute compassion, the vipassana. When we talk about extraordinary insight, vipassana means, it's a Sanskrit word, Tibetan called lak tong, means lak means extraordinary, tong means seeing, extraordinary seeing, meaning extraordinary seeing about your situation happening. In this case, the situation is the ceaseless cyclic existence phenomena that we get trapped in our thoughts and emotion, and not knowing that we are trapped, and not knowing something is happening. We know something is happening. I need to get out. We always deeply feel that ego's reaction, ego's energy, something uncomfortable deep inside, something unending dissatisfaction, unending uncertainty, unending not knowing we always get into. And where that's coming from is coming from ignorance and ego, the self-grasping. That's where it really finally lies into it. So then, when we do meditation, continuity of meditation, then you begin to experience a change. You feel more relaxed, you feel more open, you don't feel like disconnected with situation. In fact, you are seeing the situation clearly, and you're able to relate to this situation now in a much more, in some way we can use the word, much more enlightening approach than, and that in effect brings joy to the mind, brings creative to the mind. Let's say, for example, being able to develop awareness of your basic goodness, then, and when you didn't have that before, when your mind is infused with affliction all the time, then where you relate with your emotions and thoughts is always heavy-handed, it's always pain, it's always some struggle, some confusion. And that's the place we get into. If there is a sense of anger, one of the most negative emotion is anger. Let's say, I use the example of anger time to time because I think we can relate that emotion which is so predominant in all of us, very strongly. And then when we get engaged into a situation which brings out anger, we get sucked into that and afflicted by that negative emotion. You have more positive energy. You can solve the situation to yourself and the other person. Not just to yourself the benefit comes, it also goes to the other person. Because you are more open. You don't react in the same way as you used to react before. Therefore, the other person also have a consciousness, have a mind. He or she can feel that also, and therefore the situation is much more possibility, and it doesn't get into that kind of deep negative situation, and therefore joy and openness and happiness manifests in that way, like that. So practice of Tonglen, practice of reflecting on importance of why good heart, compassion, warm-hearted is so important, because that's the source of our happiness. And who would not want to do that? Who would not want to, take oneself out of that negative situation and create a positive thing? So for that, we need to have a discipline, because our minds are used to this, as I said, this self-cherishing, ego, and with that comes all negative affliction. That's the problem. Why, it sounds good to have self-cherishing and good to put oneself in the first place and others afterwards. But that approach has never helped us until today. We've been doing that for the last millions of years, bringing oneself as the first and putting others at the second. Therefore, we failed. And the reason we failed today is we still suffer, we still confuse. It's very simple in one way. Now, on the other hand, if you look at the bodhisattvas, their life, whether men bodhisattva, women bodhisattva, including bodhisattva means a sense of awareness, which is a sense of openness and warmth. Even animals, some animals have. And when you see a kind animal, you feel happy to be around that kind animal. And obviously, as a human being, if we find a friend, a good partner, means someone who can hear you and who will not judge you right away. Of course, we always have some level of judgment deep inside, but lesser judgment. I think that's really great. We're used to, as long as there is ego, you can't help not to have some judgment. It's, in fact, it's negative effect, but it will be less. As I've been explaining, the nature of ego. Having the nature of ego, there are three ways how this mind approach in relationship to others. If it's equal to you, we have competitiveness. You see, already struggle. It doesn't allow you to be free. It engages right away. If it's equal to you, competitiveness. If it's something better than you, higher than you, whether someone has more wealth, power, or beauty, or anything, better voice, music, someone can cook better food than you, smell better, there's jealousy. Very subtle level. You know, okay, it's good, but deep inside, a little bit uncomfortable. Really observe your mind. Then if it's lower than you, it looks down. Whether there's race, caste, sex, wealth, power, whatever it is, just look down, lower than oneself. Equal competitiveness, higher jealousy. Look, now we are stuck in that. That's neurosis. I wouldn't call that sanity. That's insanity. So with that kind of mind we are carrying with us all the time, wherever we go, how can we be happy? We are stuck in insanity, not insanity. So no tolerance. That kind of mind can't have tolerance. That kind of mind can't have patience. That kind of mind can't heal situation. In fact, it adds more wood to the fuel which is burning already. So when you keep engaging day and night, the cycle of day, the cycle of night, your mind going through that continuity like that, there's no end to suffering. That's why we need to develop Tonglen practice. It's a way to begin now that you don't have to just live in that kind of mind, but you can open your heart and instead of yourself putting in the first, let's try something different now. Because putting yourself in the first place didn't really work on the long run. Now maybe we should experiment with putting others first, others' happiness more important than oneself. That's the whole notion of bodhicitta mind. And in doing that, we need to do some mind training. We need to bring about a different view, how we see the world, how we engage in the world. And that's where the Tonglen practice comes. And of course, you can't do exchanging Tonglen with your enemies or people you don't feel comfortable or people you don't like, whatever. So start with someone who you are close with and who challenge you too at the same time. Let's say that's your parents. Our parents are always there for us, like, family members are there for, you can fight, but at the end of the day, you're all together. Unless some really hate their parents, then I don't know what to say. But most people, we have a certain level of karmic connection we have, that we fight, but we all, love each other, but still always struggle. So that's a good start to learn Tonglen practice. And at the same time, there's other thought also, how Tonglen practice can be good. You can put yourself, like, I want happiness, others are same. I don't want suffering, others are same. It is true. It's nothing to do with philosophical idea. Just like you want absolute happiness and freedom and liberation, others are the same. So when we have this kind of perspective of looking at life, then our minds get more gentle, more kinder, more compassionate. And that in return brings joy and happiness in your life, not survival of the fittest. Survival of the fittest notion is the ego's mind, samsaric nature of mind. And that has never worked. So therefore, warm-heartedness, compassion, in some way we are not very used to that. We think it's a good idea, but the way we practice in day-to-day in our life, we bring ourselves as the first. So if we can reduce that a little bit, can be great benefit. And one of the way of reducing is valid reason, introspection, valid reason. And that's where the study of Dharma comes into play. For example, your happiness. And when we talk about your happiness, basically we are talking five sensorial happiness. Thus most people live in sensorial world, sensorial happiness. Most people don't go deep enough to what we could call sixth sense, supposedly, let's say, or deeper level of mind. But most people live on sensorial happiness, day to day. Something you enjoy, how a nice coffee or tea, and then, people make a beautiful design when you have a coffee. So, you look, oh, that's nice. And then, so you're happy with the design, but when you taste, not very good. So you're struggling continuously to have a perfection in sensorial phenomena. That's hard, right? Sometimes the appearance look good, but taste doesn't look good. And if the taste is good, it's too hot, or it's too cold, or it's not warm enough. So all kinds of things we go through. But basically, it's sensorial happiness. What ordinary people, day to day, look is sensorial happiness. So all our sensorial happiness, whether it's our emotional well-being, physical well-being, taste, sight, smell, all those things, comes from the affection of others. So we, for example, go to a restaurant, we enjoy someone who serves on your table, someone nice bartender or someone nice, you say, oh, this is not woman. She said, no problem, I will bring it. Or, he or she, and you feel so much better going to the restaurant and because he or she will take good care of you. But someone who is very nasty and short-tempered, and you don't feel good about it. You feel afraid to ask, can you bring a little bit more warmer coffee? And they look very impatient and they're too busy to tend to you, whatever. So basically, you look for someone with a warm-hearted, whatever their role is in our life, we come into contact. So someone who can bring you joy. So therefore, your happiness comes from others' affection. We should know that. It didn't come with your being dictatorship on the table, but with the other's person affection. Same is, their happiness come from your affection, your happiness come from their affection. That's for when there is engaging in a family, everyone has kinder mind, dharma mind, compassionate mind. That family is happy, and that person is happy wherever he or she goes. Knowing that my happiness comes from others' kindness, others' affection, my parents, my friends, my partner, whatever. So therefore, you all the more reason, valid ground that I should engage in warm-heartedness and compassion, not putting myself with ego as the main factor, but others as more important. In that way, you are naturally included in that happiness. This is the way of the Bodhisattva approach. So when we get blind and not seeing this reality, that's where the chaos happens in our life. We disregard others, we disrespect others, we judge, and we have judgment and disregard and lack of concern for others' well-being. And that is the big problem. That's where our suffering and confusion, never-ending situation happen in life with that kind of mindset. It's a neurotic mindset. It's not like, definitely not. You think you're right all the time, but actually you're wrong. Because you bring that yourself, the self-cherishing ego, and all this affliction, aggression, everything, which comes together as you put that in the first place. Obviously, it's not possible. What you aspire for and what you get into the situation or what you create the situation is so different than what you fundamentally aspire for is a happy life, a joyful life, a liberating life. That's not possible with that kind of mindset. So we need to introspect. This is not just an idea, it's a very realistic approach if we have to transform our life. So Tonglen practice, starting with parents, and then gradually reaching out to all beings. Now meditation practice. Meditation practice, I think without meditation, we will find very hard to bring stability in mind. Because, for example, when you watch your mind right now, your mind is wandering. Your mind is just gone out of, let's say, out of your body. It's gone in your past thoughts, gone in your future thoughts, what you plan to do in the future, and then gone in the wind, in the present situation. You're never there. You're always out of somewhere, engaging emotions or imaginations or fantasy or ideas, always, gone. And that mind is, if it's just gone and liberated, that's fine, no problem, but that's not the case. It goes engaged into every possible anger and all afflicted nature. Then that mind, since it's your mind who goes through that wandering state, and then minds get trapped in all kinds of affliction. As a result, then you begin to experience uncertainty and confusion. You lose control of your mind. In other words, you lose control of your mind. So therefore, wandering mind is not very helpful because you are not present there, you're not aware there. Now, who can bring that back, that wandering mind, is through meditation practice. method of meditation. Where you're sitting, and whether breathing meditation or object meditation or objectless meditation, whatever the method you use, that brings you grounded here and now. That's why, therefore, meditation practice is so important and beneficial for us. Then, so now, if your mind is wandering, you see the defect, and then habituated in all those situations, which is not very positive, not very nice, not very good at all. Then if you block your mind, so when we find that our mind is going crazy, so what we do? We suppress our mind, suppress thoughts. Is that helpful? Maybe it looks like helpful at the beginning, such as when people don't know how to do that through meditation, people take alcohol. One become alcoholic, so that your mind can be, you forget what's happening in your mind. Or people take refuge in drugs, so it alters your consciousness, and then you are, again, you're not there, so to speak. You forget about things. It's not that you really forget. If you totally forget, that'll be great, but you get weaker. Then you need more stronger drug, you need more stronger alcohol. You get more deeper into that trap. So you get so weak that you have no control to your life finally. That's today we're seeing fentanyl problem, drugs in our society. Like people completely lose their control. I've seen in San Francisco on the street, like unbelievable. There was 2 guys I saw one day on the street in San Francisco, standing and putting their heads down. And just like, I was wondering, how can they stand even like that? But somehow they're floating like their heads down, just like, there are all kinds of crazy, very sad expressions. So fundamental idea is to escape from that. Fundamental idea, same as alcoholic, same as taking drugs, same as taking all this to get ourselves free from that. But the more you engage, the more you get dependent, and more deeper you get into very dark place. Same thing with the mind. You get into a very dark place that you are completely afflicted by afflictions and neurosis. Then at some point, then people suicide, kill themselves, or like hopelessness happens in our life. So do we really have to live with such a mind? We don't, because our inherent quality of the mind is far more open. Only thing we need to is to engage with that nature, bodhicitta nature, meditation practice, Tonglen, very powerful. It's very powerful. Tonglen practice is very powerful. All you have to do is spend like half an hour every day, dedicate yourself to that in your home. You get up in the morning, first do Tonglen, then you do sitting practice. It will have a whole effect into your life, To the point, since the warm-heartedness, compassion, and wisdom are not something to do with religion. A lot of people get to, okay, I'm doing this, so which religion do I belong to? There's no such thing as that even, because compassion and warm-heartedness and the method, extraordinary insight that you find to get out of it is organic. It's part of your basic makeup. We think, how can it be basic makeup? We lose sometimes the confidence. Because my basic makeup feels so, either I don't like myself, we have lack of confidence in our basic makeup. We feel that I don't know how to handle this. You can handle this if you keep progressing. The meditation awareness will show you the way. Believe me, it will show you the way. If you do this every day continuously, your life perspective will change, and how you handle your life situation is an organic makeup. Deep inherent quality, basic goodness. So therefore, it's very good to do sitting practice, meditation, and Tonglen practice. Will transform your life. That's the real medicine inherently in you. So then let's do a Tonglen practice now. So Tonglen practice is like Tonglen practice is engaging in positive thought to transform and transmute our self-grandized, self-cherishing mind to get out of that state of habitual mind. So in this case, to open your heart, to feel warmth, and then you can even do Tonglen compassion. You can feel compassion to yourself, and with all the valid reason. For example, until now, I've been living, I made myself the most important. That has brought all ego's world in ego's affliction, and that in return brought me into suffering. It's done no good to me. Now perhaps I should see in a different way, and that is making others' happiness more important than myself. And for that, I can start with my parents, someone who had been kind to me, who brought me up, whose kindness is hard to pay, one's parents' kindness. So therefore, you visualize your father and mother, and then they're going through a lot of suffering and confusion. So it's simply method here. You take all their pain and suffering. If I can take my mother's pain and suffering, who hold me in her womb for 9 months, who wash all my dirts, who fed me when I'm hungry, she took food out of her own mouth and fed me. And when I'm cold, she hold me next to her body to give me warmth. When I'm hot, she does every possible way to comfort me. So how do I repay that kindness? For many years of sleepless night, your mother went through. We don't think about those things. You ask a woman who has given birth to a child, how many years the mother went through having no sleep. And instantly she sacrificed her sleep and every possible thing for your happiness. She didn't get sleep, whatever, so many things. So now my kind mother who is going through this suffering, let me take her suffering by visualizing a dark kind of like color coming, and you're able to take it. Let me, even if I can take a little bit, if I can relieve her of a little bit, how happy that will make me. So in that dark color, you breathe in, and then the white color goes out. And with the white color, you give all your healing, all your positive energy to her. So you do that to your father and mother and to people you love. And then gradually, your heart will open up. Instead of being dark, instead of being absorbed into self, your heart will open up. That's a strange thing. You think, how this is possible? I've been taking the darkness and giving all my light. Now, in return, my heart is more open, more joyful. Later, how is that possible? That is how it's ironic that the devil really lies in that ego, who gives you all kinds of wrong information that, you should make yourself the most important. You make others, you will be crushed, you will be suffering, but that is the strange thing of the inner, how would you call it? Inner misconstrued intelligence or inner negative demon, whatever you would call the inner demon. And so therefore, we are always making ourselves, we've been preserving, we've been a victim, we've been a slave to this ego. And so therefore, nothing good it has done brought me all this suffering and uncertainty. So now I will turn it around, take others' suffering to myself, give my own joy to others in that exchanging giving white light and taking the dark color. So in that way, you can't do this to everyone at the beginning. Your mind is not strong enough. So you start with people you love. That's why I say parents, who you feel you can do that. And then gradually, as your mind opens, your heart feels joy. In fact, you feel joy doing that to your mother. And then you feel compassion to all beings. And then instead of you getting dark, you're actually getting more light. There's more light coming into your life than darkness coming to your life. So this is directly, it hurts. It hurts when we do that. When we first do that, it's uncomfortable to some people. I don't want to take. I have a lot of problem in my life. I don't want to add more to my problem. But that is the thing, that at some point you have to look deeper. Why the ego mind has brought suffering, and the only way to get out of suffering is to cut through this ego. So therefore, this is very deep to introspect, and you do the Tonglen practice in that way. So let's do something today. Sit. Now we will do a Tonglen practice for a few minutes, and so engage with people you feel love, that you can take, especially your mother and father. If you have not taking care of our parents, maybe today we can take care. If we have been fighting, we have had a lot of disagreement, we have been blaming, but also think your parents are not enlightened, but they did their best. So we should not, disrespect that today we are a human beings sitting here, and even when you are out, you enjoy friends and families and coffees and teas, whatever. It comes from that they have brought you, they have fed you, they have make you a person that you are able to enjoy, all because of their kindness. I think we cannot disregard that. So therefore, they deserve that we need to work to relieve them from the whatever way we can suffering and bring them joy. So let's start with the sitting practice now, Tonglen practice. You can also imagine these 7 billion human beings on this earth. If I can take all their pain and suffering, and if they can be free from that, wouldn't that be a wonderful thing? So it gives you strength to take all their suffering. And even I may suffer, doesn't matter if 7 billion human beings can be happy like that. Develop your mind towards bodhicitta. Also, when you do Tonglen practice, when you find, okay, I can handle this person, but I can't handle that person. When you find a resistance there, that resistance is the ego. You should understand that. Now just sit. Now let's do sitting practice. Relax your mind. Now no engaging in Tonglen practice, just simply meditate. When you meditate, don't fight against your thoughts. If you fight against your thought, it's like fighting against the river flow, fighting against the current. You will just be struggling all the time. So what you do, the traditional metaphor is if you're sitting on the river bank and if you see a murky water, you want to clear the murky water. And your way of doing it is stirring it up, trying to push away the dirt. The more you do, the more water will get murky, dirty. So what do you have to do? You have to do nothing. Just watch it, let the thoughts come, let it settle by itself. When you don't engage in trying to clear away the mud and dirt, all the dust will settle down on the bottom of the river and the clear water will shine. Same thing with your mind. When you just simply, watch that and not engage in that, not stirring up, not suppressing, not running after, it will settle by itself. So thoughts will come, it will settle by itself. There's no need to engage in fighting against a thought or trying to change things. That is the way of the meditation. You just sit, you just be with the breath, be aware of your breath, and thoughts come or don't come. You don't have to worry about it. If thought do not come, no need to stir it up. If thought do come, don't need to run after it. Neither running after, nor suppressing. Just simply watch it, and the thoughts will come. It will settle by itself. In meditation, there are certain faults of meditation, such as if drowsiness. That's one of the faults of meditation. When that happens, you should kind of sit straight and make yourself more alert. That will take care of it. And if it's too much thought, too many thoughts arising, you don't know what to do with that. Just don't fight against it. Just be patient. Just watch. You just be with the breath. And when you don't try to suppress that, then the mind will get free. What you're trying to do, you're trying to control. When too many thoughts arising, you're trying to control. The more you try to control, it will get tighter and tighter and tighter. This is one of the problems that many beginners meditation will face. Too much thought arising. When there's too much thought arising, then we go back to a usual way of dealing with our thoughts, run after it, or try to control it, or try to suppress that. That's not the way. And the traditional example here is a cow. How do you tame a cow? If you tame a cow, giving it a big spacious meadow, so the cow will go keep eating, at some point it will get tired and flop down. Same thing, you allow their mind, don't try to restrict it. At some point, the mind will dissolve. The thoughts, whatever come, it will dissolve. It's like the ocean's wave. No matter how high the ocean wave, it has no other place than the ocean itself to come to get dissolved in the ocean. Same thing, your thoughts comes from your mind and it will dissolve in the mind itself when you don't suppress that or don't run after it. Just simply watch that. So if you have any questions, we can have question answer period now.
Rinpoche, I'm wondering, when we practice Tonglen and we do it for an extended period of time, say even for me 30 minutes is a long time, is it best to stay with one intention, like one person, instead of skipping around, like doing mother and father for that session, or what would you suggest?
That's up to you. No difference. You can do with one, it can go to others, it can go to a lot more. I want to ask a question to everyone. Do you feel if you can relieve the suffering of 7 billion human beings by taking all of their stuff on yourself, will you be willing to do that? How many people like to do that? Raise your hand. Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah.
I guess my other part that's good to know.
Yes.
I tend to do, but I was just wondering in terms of the benefits of like the stability of a practice. Is it that's why I was asking that question. Is it better to stick with one person and try to concentrate on that, or because I tend to go to whole countries or in a more of a general way, that was why I asked that question. But thank you for clarifying.
Compassion is an organic nature. You cannot just fixate it to one particular situation. Since it's organic nature, it can reach to many. Or it can just, the way we're doing first, when we're getting mind training on Tonglen practice, we focus one or two, and then it can just go to many others. As time goes by, your heart will be more open to many, to everybody. So therefore, since it's organic, there's nothing fixated to that. Yeah.
Hi, Rinpoche. Do we need someone's permission to do a Tongling practice on them?
Say that again?
Do we need their permission?
Permission.
Permission.
What does permission means? Say that? Permission, this is a new English word for me. Okay, what does it mean, permission? Their blessing. So your question is what?
Do we need someone's blessing to take their confusion and to breathe out our healing into them or the country or everyone? Do we need permission to do that?
No. It's natural, or it's organic nature, compassion is. It's like your feeling. How can you stop your feeling? As someone who is very strong compassion, let's look at the other way. Do you need permission to get angry to someone? That'll be nice, actually. We can stop it. Yeah. Good question. Good question. Yes.
I'm not familiar with the Tongling practice. What is it that we are breathing in specifically?
Basically, you see, we need to, the resistance, this self-cherishing mind, this ego mind, which is the self-cherishing, the ego mind, it always tries to look for the best for yourself and reject and throw everything dirt on the others, basically. We blame, that's like throwing dirt on others, or whatever we do, judgment, all those things. So now what we're seeing, turn it around and really like getting deeper. I want happiness, others want happiness, but what is making myself so unhappy in a situation get I stuck into is this self-cherishing. This self-cherishing is not just simply self-cherishing. It comes with all affliction, its partners, it's like its family. You know, they all come together. And then anger, jealousy, hatred, all of that stirs up. That's where the ego mind holds that nature. And ego, when you really look into ego, where is the ego? Actually, you cannot find. It's on a very shaky ground. And therefore, it can only survive with fear. Ego cannot survive without fear. Ego can only survive with fear. So therefore, it always tries to protect itself. And when you really look, what is trying to protect? It's all affliction. We just allow it to go on. And then, in return, it's constantly giving you pain. As it is said, the affliction has no other job than give you pain all the time. That's the nature of affliction. So therefore, you know, now we are habituated to that ego. It's like saying people in the hell are happy in hell. You know, of course, there's nothing like that. But now we're so used to this ego that, you know, we feel like, oh, I have to protect myself. And that is the trap. That's the trap, the resistance. So when we breathe in, we're starting with someone you can do that. It's not easy to do that to anyone. So when you start doing gradually, it's because your nature, your fundamental nature is basic goodness. That when you get up first thing in the morning, you think, how I can do something good today to myself and others. How I can enjoy my life to the point also. You don't think, okay, today who I'm going to kill, who I'm going to kick, who I'm going to abuse. It doesn't come because it's not fundamental part of our nature. So but we are habituated that self-centered ego, which preserving with fear, a lot of work with fear is heavy-handed. So our lives sometimes feel like, no, how do I solve all this thing? Overwhelmed. Because we are protecting that ego. That is the root cause of it. So this is, Tonglen practice breaks the ego and makes your mind open and joyful. Then gets back to the inherent quality. So therefore, it's very beneficial. Mental problem, if you really do good Tonglen practice, you will have no mental problem. A lot of people depend on various other methods today. Some alcohol, some this, drugs, some that. You don't have to depend on none of those things. You do good Tonglen practice. And meditation, yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
Hello, Rinpoche. It's something about the Vajra Guru mantra, and but first maybe I should take some sort of oath not to be so long-winded and rambling as last time. So help me God. No, just kidding. So anyway, when you told me about the mantra, every word of it, and last week, that was really fascinating, obviously, and also powerful. And I was wondering if you might share some of that with all of us, basically anything you'd like to tell us about the mantra and how it deepens our practice and helps us grow in our meditation practice and everything.
Okay. I usually don't like to mix when I'm giving meditation teaching with the mantra. Mantras are Vajrayana teaching. So Sunday class, Thursday evening are most on meditation. But basically, let me tell you one thing. The root energy of mantra is the awareness, basic goodness. Is trying to connect to realize through the mantra our basic goodness. But that's a whole different approach on another level, how to do that. So they're beneficial, such as the mantra of compassion, or Mani Padme Hum. That's mantra of compassion. Bodhisattva, Avalokeshvara. But Bodhisattva, we all have Bodhisattva nature. We all have basic goodness. That is Bodhisattva. That is the Buddha. So the fundamental expression of that sound is the mantra. Fundamental expression of basic goodness is mantra. Like I wouldn't call there's no fundamental neurosis, first of all. So it's very hard to say a fundamental sound of the neurosis because there's no inherent, it has to have inherent quality if it's bad. So when we speak with language of anger, it is not fundamental, it is a confused language. It doesn't come out of fundamental goodness, anger, like many other judgment, things like, is influenced by affliction. But fundamental means some inherent quality which never changes. So there's the Buddha nature, there's the enlightened nature, there's the basic goodness. That's what we are trying to get into finally in meditation practice, to get to the awareness, known as awareness. So do we have awareness now? Yes, we have inherent quality of awareness in all of us. That never changes. And one of the ways to know that in the Mahayana teaching, through dependent origination, interdependent teaching, where how there is inherent nature, Buddha nature, devoid of all affliction and devoid of ego, devoid of duality, all our perception, wrong perception, that is basic goodness. How do we understand that? It says that every emotion essence is basic goodness. This is very deep in the tantric teaching. It says the essence of anger, essence of desire, essence of jealousy, let's put essence of all thoughts, without exception, all emotion, essence is enlightened nature. Well, then if the essence of all thought is enlightened nature, then every crazy person is enlightened being. You can say, because the essence, they all have the essence. Who is not without essence? As long as there's a sentient mind, consciousness, it has an essence. That essence is that. But it's dormant, so it doesn't help. Like the sun, if there's a sun surrounded by clouds, we don't see the sun. But the cloud and the sun are different things. At the same time, cloud is more the expression of the space, but space itself is free of cloud or anything like that. So therefore, the essence is, let me give you an example from the Mahayana standpoint of view, how our essence is free of any inherent negativity or any badness. There's no badness in the Buddhist teaching. It says that everyone has enlightened nature. There's basic goodness rather than basic badness. Now, how that is? For example, let's say anger. Again, let me use the example of anger. When you get anger, we think like one unitary, independent anger. Feels like so strong. This is it. We're done. We say, but we're never done. In fact, then after some time, you get a change of mind. How change of? If it's inherent, it cannot change. If it's inherent, independent, unitary one, that emotion and mind will never change. Now, to begin with, how the anger comes, let's investigate. When an anger comes, there's a subjective, there's an objective. You get angry to a person or whatever. You get angry to something. Your subjective And you don't have an anger before that, let's say, you know. And then at some point you develop to your friend, the person you love, anger gradually develop, gradually. So it takes many, many factors for that anger to come into existence. You know, first you did this, I let it go. Second time you did this, third time, this is it, you know. So then it seems like a very strong anger. But actually it's multitudes of factors that kind of gives the rise to so-called anger. And it seems very powerful, and people hold on to anger for many years, 10 years, 15 years. But gradually it dissolves on the long run, on the grosser level. On the subtle level, there is no anger because it's a multiple factors. It creates like a seemingly anger. There's no real inherent anger. It's seemingly anger. Because it's a seemingly phenomena, it's called relative phenomena. It's not called absolute phenomena. There's no absolute anger. There's a relative anger. Because anger can come, anger can go. Why? Because it has no inherent nature in it. It's devoid of independent emotion, anger. Therefore, its essence is free. And that is the enlightened awareness. And so people who does a lot of meditation, they awaken into that state called awareness, basic goodness. That is basic. And that basic goodness has total function. Then, once someone is enlightened, that negativity has no power because it's got no valid ground at all. It was a false perception to begin with from the very beginning. It is standing on a sand castle, like a child builds a sand castle on the beach. It cannot have no grounding, so therefore it falls apart. And also gradually, for even an ordinary person, on the long run, the anger goes away. For one factor, okay, now we are friends back from today, for example, whatever, you're able to let go. So anger do not have inherent nature, so does all emotions are same. Their basic essence is enlightened. So what is known as emptiness, shunyata, Sanskrit word is shunyata, and shunya or shunyata. Tibetan word is tongpanyi. In English, we can say empty. But there is always you see, we're used to dualistic concept. So when we say empty, we fall into like nothingness. That is not emptiness also. That is falling into extreme of empty, which is called nihilism. So words have very limited to, it can give an idea, but it cannot give the rawness. If I say sugar, you don't taste sugar. But if you eat sugar, you can taste it. Even a dumb person can taste it, but cannot explain how it is in reality. So therefore, all our picture, if I say fire, you can imagine a fire, but it's not the fire. So the words can only present the idea of it. Words cannot express the rawness of it. So therefore, when we say emptiness, people have different ideas. Some people will think falling into something nothing. Some people have a little bit more openness. It's based on their own, but in essence, it's been free of that cloud, so to speak, free of that, there's no inherent independent oneness like that. So awakening into that is awareness. That's basic. That's we all have to get. Actually, we need to get to that place. Without getting to that place, we are always subjected to affliction. And taking affliction is real. No, isn't it? You can also imagine it's wrong. But we live in that wrong world. We live in this false world. And that's called is ignorant. It's nothing more than ignorant. Ignorance versus primordial intelligence or fundamental intelligence. It's nothing more than that. That's what Buddha means. Buddha means awakened ones. Buddha doesn't mean, when you become Buddha, you become like that, a yellow statue like. No, you're going to be the same with the same body. But your mind, transformation of seeing the reality of nature, that's what Buddha means. You're welcome.
Speaking of the emptiness and openness and a day like this with all the blue, just something to mention is that last Thursday night when I asked about blue light, I didn't mean to ask you an obscure question about the North American indigenous views or traditions of blue light, but just curious about, about light in general and blue light in your traditions and the Buddhist tradition. And I just wanted, you said that in the mantra, the Hung, in the Om Ah Hung, that's associated with a ray of blue light?
No,
Or was that
good
it?
question. No. That blue light, basically, whom Om symbolize body, Ah symbolize speech of the Buddhas, Hung symbolize mind of the Buddhas. So the mind of the Buddhas is spacious like a sky. From that metaphor, when we look at the sky, a blue sky, right? It's simply a metaphor. It has nothing to do more than metaphor of being open and spacious. That's what it is. Yeah.
Rinpoche, we have a question online.
Okay.
So Vicky asks, Dearest Rinpoche, I have a question about Tonglen. When we breathe in the black smoke, does it transform to light at the heart chakra?
Say that again.
When we breathe in the black smoke in Tonglen, does it transform to light at the heart chakra?
Why, you are afraid? That's the ego's trip. That's how subtle ego always tries to preserve itself with a fear. It has to finally transform into white. No, don't worry about white. Let it be black, so what? You see, the point is, of course, it will naturally become white. It will naturally become light. It's that fear always, so here we're doing, okay, I take the light. That darkness should become light, then I feel good. It's okay, but it's still a deception of ego. You see? You understand how the ego is trying to preserve itself? It has to be white. Otherwise, I'll be crushed. Really, this is it. Don't worry about it. Just do it. If you feel, at the beginning, some people may want that. Okay, let it turn into white. So, but it has to be, your heart is to open up. You're ready to take, joyfully, like I asked, if 7 billion human beings, if you can take their suffering, and they're all free, and let's say you're condemned to hell forever and ever and ever, you can never come out, would you be happy? Yes. If that kind of mindset you need. It doesn't matter, 7 billion human beings, if they can be happy, me, whatever I have to go through, that's the strength of bodhicitta. Yeah.
Firstly, I would like to express my gratitude for your presence and share time together. My question is around compassion. My question is about compassion. I understand there is a lot of focus on practicing compassion mentally. How would you weigh actually acting on it as well?
Can you say a little louder? Okay.
How would you weigh acting your compassion outwardly in the world? So when I meditate, I'm obviously like the practice to take in, pain and suffering around you. But do we also have to put it into action? So I was just trying to have your thought process on it too.
Of course.
mentally versus inaction.
No question about it. But it will come, the point of we do Tonglen practice and meditation, it transforms your mind. When it transforms your mind, it transforms your action at the same time. So your action outward, for beginners, one thing very important, you need mindfulness. Because you're still not strong enough to change all your habits. So when you see like anger arising, for example, instantly think the negative effect of that on the long run, harmful, in the short run, harmful. Both you and the other person, both will suffer. So therefore, when you think of the negative effect, instantly the anger will be reduced, and then your action will be according to that. More compassionate, more warmth will come out. So mindfulness is very important. And mindfulness you develop through the sitting practice of meditation, in post-meditation. When you're sitting, you're developing the strength. And when you get out, which is post-meditation state, when you're engaging with people, when you're talking to people, whatever the action comes, then the effect of that meditation comes. So therefore I said, you do first thing in the meditation, do Tonglen and meditation, then the whole day your action, your energy is more joyful, more open, more creative. So that's why it's good to do meditation first thing in the morning. Yeah.
Just a follow-up question. Being a beginner,
Being what?
being a beginner, starting the practice of meditation
Yes.
and basic goodness,
Yes.
how, and I think on Thursday you talked about interconnectedness,
How what?
how we are interconnected with each other and the
Yeah.
world around us.
Yeah.
How do we balance ourselves on the response we get? So, for instance, I'm trying to express my basic goodness, but not completely able to understand the response I'm getting back. Is there a way to still keep your emotional state balanced and still wave through it?
It's a gradual process, gradual development. We do not, just by 2 sessions of Tonglen, we do not become bodhisattva, right? We are aspiring bodhisattvas. There's an aspiring bodhisattva and enlightened bodhisattvas. We are, for aspiring bodhisattva, way we engage in bodhicitta mind is like, first is aspiring, then is action. The aspiring is like, I want to go to downtown Denver. That is aspiring from here. Then the actual engaging is like taking a walk or going in a car towards downtown. So therefore, and what do you do in action? The bodhisattva practice of 4 immeasurable and 6 paramita. Generosity, ethics, patience, diligence, one-pointed samadhi, and then wisdom, finally, seeing the nature of basic goodness, emptiness. So those are the bodhisattva actions, the 6 paramita and 4 immeasurable. But then when you keep doing it, when you engage in bodhisattva, you will still go back to your old habits. So at the beginning, it'll be clash of good and bad, old habits and trying to engage in the bodhisattva practice. But as you keep keeping the mindfulness and engaging in your daily practice, and then engaging with the awareness, why importance that all sorts of joy come from kindness and compassion and warm-hearted. You see, compassion is very deep. It's not just that you're trying to, very simple mind, you try to give some bread to someone. Compassion includes intelligence, because compassion is infused with basic goodness, means basic good intelligence, which leads you out of that trap of ego, at the same time able to benefit yourself and others. So therefore, compassion is a very deep subject. You know, when we try to give some bread to someone or close to, that's a simple level of compassion. But when you practice that, it brings a whole different world of intelligence, creativity, skillful mean, how you can figure things out. All those depth of wisdom comes out of that. So it will be gradual process, gradual experience. So don't expect that you become a bodhisattva enlightened right away in 2 sessions of Tonglen practice. You need to keep engaging yourself with mindfulness all the time. Yeah. Okay, so then it was wonderful, and please engage in Tonglen and meditation practice and your other practice, each one you're doing. And I will be back after some time, as soon as possible. So thank you very much. And let's do a dedication prayer. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not be their names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not be the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. In the world in general, and in this nation, may not be the names, disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtues, qualities, and merit and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience,
and thus defeat the neuroses and negative actions which are their enemies. From the
turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death,
and from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you very much. So like Thursday evening, Sunday, please come and sit. This, collective energy is very powerful when you sit together. And then after that, you can engage in discussion. So those are very beneficial for oneself and others. And here, these many great lamas came here. Hisunudujum, Yangsi, and Soks Rinpoche, and Changu Rinpoche. So we have very blessed energy place here. And so this is for you, people of Denver, to really come and study and reflect on yourself and transform yourself. So please do come, sit, and Thursday, Sunday, whenever you want. Thank you. Okay.
And just to remind everyone that tomorrow at 5:30 p.m. we have Dakini Day Shower of Blessing Tsok. So if you'd like to join us for that, so setup will start at 4:30 p.m., but the practice will start at 5:30 p.m. tomorrow. Thank you, everyone. Have a good Sunday.